Hi everyone. In this class you'll be learning what is speed, velocity, acceleration, momentum. Okay? So first we'll see the difference between speed and velocity. Suppose you are going by a car and you say the speed of the car is 60 kilometers per hour. What do you understand by saying the speed of the car is 60 kilometers per hour? It means that in 1 hour you will be traveling or you will be covering a distance of 60 kilometers. So that is what you understand by saying the speed of the car is 60 kilometers per hour. In 1 hour, 60 kilometers you are covering. And if you say the speed is 60 kilometers per hour, you cannot make out in which direction you are going. So, if you add the direction along with the speed, it becomes velocity. 60 kilometers per hour towards east. If you say you are traveling towards east with a speed of 60 kilometers per hour, it becomes velocity. That's all the difference between velocity and speed. Velocity is a vector quantity, so you have to mention the direction along with the magnitude, whereas speed is a scalar quantity. So, suppose you are going in a circular path, moving around in a circular path with a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. You are keeping a uniform speed throughout your motion when you go around a circular path. Will the velocity be uniform? No. Since your direction is changing at every point when you go along a circular path, you say the velocity is changing, though you are maintaining a uniform speed. Speed is uniform, but velocity is changing when you go around a circular path because direction is changing. Is it clear? So, now we'll see what is acceleration. Acceleration is nothing but change in velocity in unit time. When does a change in velocity occur? When you exert force on it. When you exert a force on an object, its velocity changes. That's what you learned from the first law of motion, that unless an external force acts on it, the object will continue to move with uniform speed and in the same direction. Or if it is at rest, it will remain at rest. When you push or exert a force, what happens to an object at rest? It starts moving. That means it is accelerated. Velocity is increasing. From 0, it is increased to some value. So, velocity increases when an external force acts on it. Whenever there is a change in velocity, you say there is an acceleration. Whenever there is a change in velocity, you say there is an acceleration. It can be an increase in speed, increase in velocity, or it can be a decrease in speed, decrease in velocity. In both the cases, acceleration is produced. When velocity is decreased, you use the word retardation instead of acceleration. Or you can say the acceleration is negative if the velocity is decreasing. But still there is acceleration. Now the question is there any acceleration for an object moving with uniform speed in a circular path? Uniform speed. That means there is no change in speed. will it have any acceleration? Yes. Since the speed is uniform but the direction is changing, there is change in velocity. Therefore, there is an acceleration for that object moving with uniform speed in a circular path due to the change in direction. Because you add or subtract velocity using the vector addition and vector subtraction. I said whenever there is a change in velocity, there is acceleration. To find out, to calculate the change in velocity, what do? You subtract the initial velocity from the final velocity. Final velocity minus the initial velocity will give you the change in velocity. So, change in velocity in unit time per second or per hour will give you the idea of acceleration. Acceleration is nothing but how much is the change in velocity in unit time. Suppose the velocity has increased from 30 meter per second to 40 meter per second. 30 meter per second is a very high velocity. Or you just take a smaller value as 5 meter per second to 8 meter per second. That is a change. If that is a change in velocity, to calculate the acceleration, you need to know the time taken for that change in velocity. To change the velocity from 5 meter per second to 8 meter per second, if it takes 3 seconds, then what is its acceleration? Change in velocity you have to calculate first. 8 meter per second is the final velocity, 5 meter per second is the initial velocity. So 8 minus 5 will give you 3 meter per second as a change in velocity. Now you have to see the time taken for that change. Time taken for that change is 3 seconds. So, change in velocity by the time taken will give you the acceleration. 3 by 3, it will become 1 meter per second square. Acceleration is expressed in meter per second square in our SI system. Is that clear? So, I'll say once again, acceleration is nothing but the change in velocity in unit time. Change in velocity divided by time taken. Velocity itself is meter per second. Again dividing that by time, seconds to get acceleration. So 2 times s will come in the denominator. Thus the unit will become meter per second square. Is it clear? The next important term you need to know is momentum. You think of an object moving. An object moving. Any object will have mass. So when I say an object is moving, you can say a mass and motion. If it goes and hits on a glass, what happens? The impact produced depends on what all factors. It depends upon the mass of the object and also the speed, velocity. Suppose it is a very light object going and hitting on a glass, it may not produce any destruction to it. But if it is a heavy object going on hitting a glass piece, it will smash into pieces. So you can say the impact produced by this moving object depends upon the mass. Now you see the velocity. Suppose it's going at a very low speed and hitting. Nothing may happen. But if it is moving with a greater speed like a bullet, it will cause destruction to it. So you can say the impact of this moving object hitting on it also depends on the velocity of the object. So these two factors, mass and velocity, are the two factors on which momentum depends. Momentum is the term we use. Actually, it is introduced by Newton. He introduced the new term momentum to show the impact of moving objects. Okay? And it is found that momentum is equal to, momentum of a moving object is equal to its mass into velocity. Mass into velocity will give you the momentum. So what will be its unit? Mass is kg, velocity is meter per second. So kg into meter per second, it will become kg meter per second. And that's the unit of momentum. Momentum is also a vector quantity. Momentum will have the direction same as that of the velocity, or same as the direction of the motion of the object. So if you learn this much, it becomes easier for you to learn the Newton's second law of motion. That I'll explain in the next class. Okay?